This is The Drive with Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. SNR, Steelers Nation Radio.
And welcome to The Drive. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And we're a week out from the draft.
Yeah, we are, huh?
From the first night of the
draft night was 1 week ago, yeah.
So I wanted to go back today, Matt, and take a look at, we had 3 trades, I believe it was 3 trades, of 4 trades actually, in the first round.
Okay.
Of this year's draft.
And everybody all 32 had their first round pick?
All 32 had their first round pick going in.
That won't be the case next year.
No. So I wanted to look at the cost of what it was to move up or down, and then what those teams acquired in those deals, because obviously next year the Steelers could be in that market.
Oh, that's absolutely a possibility.
That's kind of the plan.
That's kind of the plan, right? I think it's pretty clear that they're going to be one of the most active quarterback-searching first-round teams, most likely.
As an aside to that, I've seen a couple of the 2026 mock drafts.
Yeah, I've been kind of hitting them too.
And I've looked at them, and the last couple that I've seen haven't had the Steelers taking a quarterback.
I don't even look what team they put the players on.
Yeah.
I just want to learn about the players. And, boy, there's a lot of tackles. There's a lot of It does seem like it's good in D-line. People seem pretty encouraged by the quarterback class, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to play out. Right. But the last 2 that I've seen haven't had the Steelers taking a quarterback.
Most I've seen have not as well.
What are we talking about?
Right.
Like, you get the Rams trading up for a quarterback. You don't have the Steelers trading up for a quarterback.
Yeah. I don't think people put a lot of time into the team needs at the moment. Just getting the right 32.
They were all talking about that as a team need going into this draft.
Right.
What's changing? And Aaron Rodgers is going to get a year older.
And every article you see of biggest holes remaining, Steeler quarterback, which I get, but it won't be for long.
Anyways, so the first trade of the night was Jacksonville moving up to number 2.
Oh, right.
With Cleveland moving back to number 5. So the Jaguars got number 2 pick, which they used on Travis Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
They got a 2025 4th-round pick, which was 104, which they used to take Bashal Tutin.
Okay.
And then
they definitely got faster on offense.
They got a 2025 6th-round pick, which was number 200, which they used on safety Rayun Lane.
Okay.
The Browns got the 5th overall
kid?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
The Browns got the 5th overall pick, which they used on Mason Graham.
Mm-hmm.
They got the 2nd-round pick from the Jaguars, which they used on Quinshon Judkins. They also got the 2025 4th-round pick from the Jaguars, which they used on Dylan Sampson.
Okay.
And next year's 1st-round pick from the Jaguars.
Which is huge. So when that happened, I thought, that's a haul for the Browns. I mean, that is a really good haul. I don't like what they did with it. But they do have 2 first-round picks next year. That was my like, once they made that move back to 5, they should have traded back again. Oh, I think 4 and 5 was no man's land. That's what I was going to say. Is most of these trades, if we look in NFL history, if someone goes from 5 to 2, it's for Carson Wentz or Drake May or whatever. I mean, it's a quarterback, of course. In this case, I think it was a double-edged sword, which is why they got as much as they did, was let me get out of no man's land at 5, because if I'm the Jags, do I want Graham? Do I want Membo? There was even talk of Tet McMillan and Genty, but not exactly what I'm after with a top 5 pick. And I get to the sweet spot of I probably get the best player. I get what I think is the best player in this draft.
I would have immediately been on the phone with, say, the Bears.
Mm-hmm. The Genty team.
Yeah. Say, hey, if you want to get up here to 5, because we know the Raiders everybody's linked them to Genty.
Mm-hmm. But you ended up coming to fruition.
You want Genty.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't even have had to have been, I don't need to get
You might still get Graham at 10.
That's the thing I was going to say.
Right.
You don't need to get a huge haul to go back from 5 to 10.
If you could get a second, that'd be great, but maybe a future second. Or or I don't need a ton.
Because I already got my haul.
Mm-hmm.
I already got a whole bunch of picks here.
Yeah.
Premium picks from Jacksonville.
I'm sure. I don't know the draft chart off the top of my head. I mean, the Jimmy Johnson charts or whatever.
And
that doesn't even matter. It's different for us. That was my point. It's different for every year. But anyway, if by chance they turned $1 into $1.20, that 5th pick I would have taken 90 cents on to go to 10. You know? I mean, because I'm still going to get somebody good.
And to your point, they still might have gotten Mason Graham at 10.
Right. Or they could have got a better pick and got like Banks.
Yeah.
I would have taken an offensive lineman, is my point. Not that Brank's a great prospect, but them not getting an offensive lineman makes my brain crazy. But anyway.
So they traded back. They traded away from Travis Hunter for 2 running backs and a defensive tackle. Now, they did also get the first-round pick next year, which is
that
fantastic.
might be wonderful. And I always hate saying, history shows that they're terrible at this. But history shows they're terrible at this. It's different people, but it is the same building. I worked there. That they've traded down a lot or had a lot of drafts in their history with a lot of high picks. Brandon Weeden,
I can
Trent
remember
Richardson,
having that
and they're terrible with it, especially quarterbacks.
I was on with David Todd 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And he was talking about that. I really like what the Browns did, trading back and getting all these future picks. I'm like, yeah, they've done that like 3 years in a row. At some point, you have to use the picks.
They were Moneyball team then.
Yeah.
We're just going to keep trading back because logically it does make more sense to trade back than up. But you got to hit. That doesn't mean you're a good scouting team.
At some point, you have to use the picks.
Yeah.
They kept trading every year. They'd trade for these picks and then trade them away the next year. Like, at some point, make the pick.
Yeah. I mean, really, since they've been back in the league, there's no doubt in my mind they've had the most multiple seasons with multiple first-round picks.
But
there was 1 year they had 3.
That was a good haul. So they get a first.
On paper, it's a good trade.
Yeah, first, a second, a fourth, and next year's first. For a first, a fourth, and a sixth.
Yeah.
To move three spots.
I didn't realize the 4 and the 6 and that stuff. So at least there's a little something, a little sugar back.
Yeah, but it's they got small. They moved down 3 spots for a 4. I get it, but then you took what you took in this particular draft, picking 36 and 126. And if you look at the draft at 36, the next pick at 37 was Jonah Saivania.
Yeah,
could have used him.
Oh, you could have used him. So
who else was Ariante Ursary went at 48.
I mean, linemen were flying off the board, but you can't not come out without at least one premium lineman. So 2 things I wanted to mention. Now I want to get back to this trade thing for sure. Is when they took Graham, round 1 ends. We don't know what they're going to do with the rest of their picks, but they got a bunch. They're on the clock. It's Thursday. I mean, they can do whatever they want. They got this future first. What a haul. Great. I'm thinking what I would do and what I assume they're going to do is they're going to draft linemen like crazy. They got Graham. Maybe they'll get an edge rusher now in a deep edge class. Everyone's talking about what would Carter and Garrett look like together. Boy, that'd be scary. Well, there's still a ton of edges out there. There's Mike Green. There's Azarique. I mean, there's tons of those dudes. They don't get either.
Ezereku went at 44.
Yeah. I mean, if they were taking him in the first pick of round 2, I'd been like, that makes sense. You didn't get Abdul Carter, but you got a 90% version of him, and you put him next to Garrett, and he's had singles his whole life. It's pretty good. So they ended up with no O-linemen and no edge rushers with all those premium picks.
Yeah.
That makes me insane. You're right. Two quarterbacks, 2 running backs. What are you doing?
Didn't address the needs, yeah.
No, yeah, right.
And a tight end that is redundant.
Yeah, you got a backup tight end. It makes me crazy. And they're the team getting all the A's and A pluses from these draft nicks, because they got Shador. But they made a lot of picks of people that people know.
Yeah.
Judkins and Sampson.
But when you look at the collective, it's like, yeah.
Big Jonah from Arizona would have made more sense, He's not flashy, but he would have been a starter for them probably for 8 years.
Okay, so the Giants made the deal with the Texans to go from 34 to 25.
30, okay.
This is kind of what we talked about if the Steelers had traded back. You weren't going to get a 2 to do that.
Right.
So they go back to 34. They get the 2025 second-round pick. They got a 2025 third-round pick, which was 99. And they got a 2026 third-round pick.
Which for the Giants, I think is a great move. Like, I'm not big on Dart. But if they love Dart, they apparently love Dart. Yeah, whatever. That's not that bad of a haul.
When the team drafted Forrest Lamp a couple of years ago. They love Lamp.
They love Lamp. But that's not that bad.
Yeah.
If you got a future quarterback, that's worth a bite in the apple. And we were talking about this too. Like one of our mailbag questions was, what if the Giants or Titans get the first pick in the draft next year? Would they go quarterback? I don't think the Titans would, but the Giants might. That's not that much of an investment. You know, like if Andrew Luck's coming out, you take Andrew Luck.
They didn't trade a future first to do this.
Right.
They traded a future third to do this.
Which is sort of costly, but you're not married to them to the no end, especially if you do get the first pick in the draft. Probably everyone's getting fired, and the new guys might not like Dart anyways.
Right.
Which is probably how it goes.
So it ended up being Jackson Dart, The Texans drafted Jaden Higgins at pick 34.
Oh, that was with Houston. I was thinking the Rams made that deal. The Rams made the edge deal.
The Texans traded away the 99th pick to the Raiders, who took Charles Grant.
Okay.
And they've got next year's third.
It's not an apples-to-apples comparison, obviously, and these teams didn't even make the same picks. But if I'm the Texans, I'd much rather have Charles Grant and Higgins than Dart.
Yeah,
or if I'm on any team.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, every team's needs are different. But you know what I mean? Like, those are better prospects combined to me than Dart, you know?
Yeah.
But meanwhile, Atlanta spends a lot more or gives up a lot more for an edge rusher, not a quarterback, in the same neighborhood. And I thought that was a terrible deal.
That's where we're going to next year. So they trade into the first round to pick 26.
Mm-hmm.
They also get pick 101. Okay. For 46, 242, and next year's first.
The first is the killer, right? I mean, 242 means nothing in that deal, but
right.
And that's a long way for the Rams to wait. They end up with Terrence Ferguson. Apparently, they were trying to get up for one of the tight ends, couldn't hang around. They take the Plan B tight end.
Yeah.
So they don't get much out of this draft, but
they get next year's first.
Yeah.
The Falcons did that to come up and get James Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
The third-round pick that they got, which was then traded to the Broncos through the Eagles, was used on Savion Jones.
Okay.
The Rams got Terrence Ferguson, as you said. The seventh-rounder that they got was Kanata Mumfield, the wide receiver from Pitt, and next year's first.
Next year's first, so the beauty of it all, right.
Yeah.
So knowing the Rams, they may have a really good year and trade for Tyreek Hill at the trade deadline. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or Pickens or Ramsey or whoever. I mean, they could easily do that. Or they could have the Stafford replacement plan very accessible. Like, it's real easy to say they got 2 first-round picks, they'll definitely get a quarterback. Well, you still got to make it happen. You got to move up to get your guy.
I mean, let's say, for example, let's say the Falcons finish 18th, which is possible.
Yeah, like I think they'll be second place in that division probably.
Okay, so you get the 18th pick of the Rams. They win their division. They're picking 24.
Yeah, win a playoff game or whatever, right.
24 and 18 I don't know if that's getting you all the way up into the top 5.
I would say I doubt that gets you to 5. It might get you to 10.
Yeah.
You know, if there's 4 quarterbacks in the class or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you don't have another first round. I mean, obviously.
Unless you're also going to throw in next year's first. Now you're going to trade 3 firsts to move up into the top 5.
Yeah, that doesn't. Well, maybe they would.
You could.
Yeah, you could.
But you better be damn sure about that pick.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sure everyone's killing the Falcons.
And let's say Stafford says, I'm going to play 2 more years.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now you just traded away 2 years worth of first-round draft picks for a guy that's going to be sitting on your bench.
Right. Or you trade out of the first round again, you know, and just keep kicking the can, but then eventually you got to make the pick.
Then you got to make the pick.
Right.
I mean,
it's a nice thing to have.
I absolutely.
Yeah.
And I hate what the Falcons did there.
Me too.
But
from what I understand, Pierce wasn't even on some teams' boards because of character stuff.
Yeah.
Not that he's like a criminal, but people just don't want to be around him.
Yeah.
Because real quick on the Falcons, I thought they got a gift from the football gods that Walker was there for their pick. He's a little undersized, which I think is the only reason he was. But that's a really good player to sit and pick in the middle of the first round.
Right.
When edge pass rush is your biggest
And everybody been talking about them wanting to move down.
Because they were short on picks, too. That was the other thing.
They moved up instead.
They moved up instead.
In the second round.
Not only did they trade up for Pierce, but I don't know what the trade was. It wasn't super significant. But then they traded up for Watts, the safety, who, again, on paper, looks like you got 2 talented edge rushers. You pair him with Bates, and looks like you got a really nice pair of safeties, and your defense takes a step forward. That's great. But is that enough to put you over with a rookie quarterback, more or less?
Yeah.
I mean,
what were they, an 8-win team last year?
Sounds about right. They were picking 15, 16, whatever, you know. Yeah.
I mean, by the looks of it, they win at least 8 games again. And if that's the case, if the Rams get the 15th pick in the draft next year, they really made out on this. But if again, if it's 18 or 20 or somewhere in that range,
you could be in draft no man. You could be outside those first round guys.
Yeah.
You know, you could have 2 picks. There's 15 first rounders, and you're picking.
They might have to move. They might have to
25.
move twice to get up.
Yeah.
Like they might have. What was the 49ers?
The Eagles did that one time. The
49ers
did it for
Like
Lance.
you make the trade to 11, and then you trade next year's pick in 11 to get up.
I remember the Eagles did it for Wentz. They did it well before the draft, and then they traded up again to get the 2.
Yeah, which is possible.
Yeah. You can put these things together.
But just assuming they're going to again, a lot of these early mock drafts that we're seeing have the Rams trading up into the top 3.
Yeah, that's gonna be hard to do.
It's gonna be hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think either one of those teams is gonna earn a top 10 spot.
Right.
I mean, Atlanta got better.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, and it's a bad division.
It's a bad division.
Like the Saints are awful.
Yeah.
Carolina's
still pretty bad.
Yeah,
Tampa should run away with it.
Yeah,
but they could be the 7th seed in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I mean that's not crazy.
Right.
Penix looks like he belongs.
Yeah.
I do kind of
still got Bijan. You still, I mean, if these guys
offense should be decent.
One of these 2 pass rushers should help their pass rush.
I mean, it's been so miserable for 2 decades.
Yeah.
I understand why they did it, and I'm sure the ownership was like, "I'm tired of talking about pass rush. Go do something about it." And it seems like analysts are killing the Falcons, and I'm definitely on the other side of the trade too. But I kind of get it too. I mean, like the defense needed it bad.
Yeah,
And
Raheem Morris is a defensive coach.
Yeah,
right. I got to have some tools to work with.
And I think these guys are on the hot seat.
Yeah. So those are the 3 trades that were made. Oh, there was one more, actually. You saw the Eagles and Chiefs.
Oh, you're right.
Flip-flop spots. For that move, the Eagles got Kansas City's pick, which they used on Jihad Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs got the 32nd pick, which they used on Josh Simmons, and pick 164, which they then traded to the Steelers for Yaya Black.
Oh, wow. Okay, that ended up being the Wire Black pick. Okay.
Yeah.
I always wonder how those trade talks go. Like, I want to flip spots with you. There must be Howie Roseman must have some intel that somebody else is
trying to get into that spot.
Right. And did the Chiefs tell them, like, yeah, people are trying to get in the spot. Give us a 4th and we'll be fine. Or just don't take our left tackle.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how much transparency there is.
There's got to be some trust there.
Yeah, right. But I mean, I'll flip spots with you if you don't take my guy.
Right.
Yeah.
So those were the trades, and obviously that one was,
that's a weird one. Right?
You got a 5th round pick.
Right. And the Chiefs were going to take Simmons at 31, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They're not taking Campbell.
But I think it kind of gives you an idea if the Steelers do want to move up next year. Let's say they're picking 19th or something like that, 20th, somewhere 20th, like they are this year.
They were 22 years ago, or they're 21 this year. Right.
It's going to be awfully difficult for them to get into the top 5.
No matter what.
You might have to make 2 moves to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But you can get into the top 10.
Right. So if there's 4 or 5 quarterbacks you like last year, even minus 2 or 3 of them, you could get up to McCarthy.
Yeah.
You could get top 3 was tough, but are they always going to go top 3? Probably not.
Now, if you want to make, I don't know if they would be able to make 2 moves to get up there.
Who knows? Yeah. You'd have to give up a ton.
You'd have to give up a ton.
So I'm assuming
the first move up, if you went from, let's say you go from 20 to 11, might cost you your 1st round draft pick next year.
Yeah. Oh, I'm almost thinking
2027.
Unless there's a disastrous season, which never happens, the 2027 first isn't going to be owned by the Steelers.
Yeah.
And you hope you've played the comp games well, or maybe you trade some of those comp picks just to get ahead of next year. Maybe you end up with 2 2s in 2027, whatever, Cool, But I kind of think your quarterback's going to cost you 2 firsts. Next year's first and the first after that, and then from there.
Which is why you have to be damn sure about it.
Right.
If you're giving up 2 first-round draft picks for a player, you better be sure he's going to hit.
But I also think it's the right move.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know who the guy. I don't know.
You got
quarterback to be named later.
You got to identify it.
Part,
You're not going to get the number 1 guy. You're probably not going to get the number 2 guy.
Right. But you might get your number 2 guy.
You might get your number 2 guy.
Right.
You might get. Josh Allen wasn't the first quarterback selected in that year.
Absolutely. Right.
So
yeah, but as long as there's enough true first-round quarterbacks available, that's step 1.
You needed to be 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And then you need a little bit of luck.
You need a little bit of luck.
I mean, even in 2004, there were 3, and you needed a little bit of luck to get Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, it's funny because
you needed the Browns to be the Browns.
Back to the conversation I had earlier, the over-under win totals came out today post-draft, which are basically the way they're going to stay. I'm sure Rodgers could change things. But there's 4 teams that are projected to have 5.5 wins is their over-under, and there's 3 teams with 6.5 wins. And those are the worst. There's none. There's other years there's like 4 and whatnot. And most of them would probably take a quarterback if they ended up at first. If things go disastrously, it's the Jets, it's the Giants, Tennessee, New Orleans. If they end up with the first pick, things didn't go well. Right. They probably would take one.
Let's get to a break. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about those over-under totals when we come back.
Okay.
He is Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, I mentioned, we got over-unders here now that the draft is completed here. So let's roll through these here. I'm looking at BetMGM's over-under totals for each team. They're in alphabetical order. The Arizona Cardinals, over-under is 8.5. You get plus 100 at over 8, minus 120 at under 8.5.
Defense got a lot better. I like coaching staff. I'd probably lean towards over, but it's not a strong feeling.
One thing to remember is that I believe the NFC West teams this year match up against the AFC South and the NFC South.
Well, along those lines,
games.
I was just double-checking because I mentioned Warren Sharp takes these and turns them into strength of schedule, too. The Niners have by far the easiest schedule in the league, which makes me think that whole division probably has it pretty good.
They've got it pretty good. They're playing. They're
Arizona's
playing both
11th.
Souths.
Yeah. Okay.
The Falcons, who we just talked about, over 7.5 is minus 145. So people are hammering the over on that.
That does seem low.
Under is plus 120 on under 7.5.
So I used to pay a lot of attention to these, and I still do. But there used to be some that weren't halves. Like you could push, or it was a lot easier then. It's like if it was 8, it was like, what's the chance? I could see 9 wins much easier than I could see 7 wins. But now that all of them are half, I can't believe it took Vegas that long.
Yeah.
I got to think over.
I
worry them to have too many overs because it's just the most optimistic time of the year and only bad stuff's going to happen, as we always say, But if they don't get over, do you think they're in trouble?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is why you trade next.
At least
first,
the GM is.
Right.
The Ravens are 11.5. Minus 115 to go over that. Minus 105 to go under that.
That's a big number. I'd probably go under. Yeah. Division's tough.
You win 11 games. Schedule, 11 wins is a lot.
12 to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
The Bills are also 11.5. Now, the caveat here is that the Bills division got a lot easier. Yeah. But they're minus 150 to over, plus 125 to go under that 11.5. So
I lean towards unders on all those teams.
People are hammering the over on the Bills.
Optimistic fan base. They signed Elijah Moore today, by the way.
Yeah.
But we talked about that with a weird UFA thing.
The Panthers, over-under 6.5, minus 115 over that, minus 115 under that. Nobody cares about the Panthers. So
nobody cares if nobody's betting them.
Nobody's betting it.
I'd probably lean towards under. But they're one of those teams that are 6.5 or 5.5.
Yeah.
At the worst.
The Bears are 8.5. It's plus 110 to the over, minus 135 to the under.
Are we a little too optimistic with them?
Always.
Always, right. Yeah. It's good fan base. I'm sure that bets it up.
Ridiculously tough division.
Really tough division. I know he's now in his second year, but I love betting against rookie coach, rookie quarterback combination.
Like 2-4 in the division?
Oh, you'd probably take that. 3-3, you'd take it.
3-3, you'd absolutely take it.
Right. It could easily be 1-5.
Yeah.
That's a great way of looking at it, too. I always think that way first. Like, but how many getting in the division? Okay, if you can get 3, all right, well, that's part of the way there, but it's not that much help,
Yeah. The Bengals over-under is 9.5. It's minus 150 to the over, plus 125 to the under.
They had some bad luck last year, but
they've also won 9 games in each of the last 2 years.
Have they?
There've been 9 and 8 the last 2 years.
I thought they were well below that last year. Okay, I would go under because I don't think there's enough change. What's so much different?
Yeah,
right.
I hear you. The Browns over/under.
They're low. Yeah,
4.5.
Oh wow, that's different than the one I saw.
Minus 165 to the over, plus 140 to the under. That must be
the lowest.
Yeah,
because I didn't see any that were under
4.5 is low.
They must have been bet heavy from 5.5 down to 4.5. That's a
Well, it looks
swing.
like people are now betting the over on that.
They must hit the under heavy at 5.5.
Yeah.
They're terrible.
The Cowboys, 7.5. Minus 120 to the over, plus 100 to the under.
They're really short on playmakers. I mean, the line and Dak can make up for it, but, man, who's carrying the ball and who's catching the ball?
Javonte Williams.
I think Williams is probably the lead back.
Yeah. Denver, 9.5. Plus 105 to the over, minus 125 to the under.
Pretty tough division.
Plexiglass theory there?
Yeah, say, how much faith do we have in Knicks to really be a 10, double-digit win type guy? I'd probably go under.
Detroit, over 10.5. Minus 105 to the over, minus 115 to the under.
I thought that number would be bigger, and I was going to go under. 10.5 seems about right. But that division's rough.
It's rough, but...
I mean, no one's going to go 6-0 in that division.
The Packers are 9.5. Minus 110 to the over, minus 110 to the under.
I would lean towards the over, I think. I think he's a solid coach.
Going to keep the playmakers healthy.
That's a problem.
Houston, over-under is 9.5, plus 110 to the over, minus 130 to the under. So
it might be one of my favorites so far.
The under's getting bet.
I think I'd hit the over. I think that division's pretty bad. I could see 5 wins in the division.
Well, the Colts and Jaguars are up next year. So the Colts are over 7.5, or their 7.5 is the number, minus 110 to the over, minus 110 to the under.
Could his seat be hot if they go noticeably under with bad quarterbacks? In Indy?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's could be, but what was the Jags?
Haven't gotten
there. Oh, okay. I thought you said them both. I'm sorry.
Well, they're right next to each other.
Yeah,
the next 2 teams on here.
I'd probably go, the Colts number's pretty good. They're always hovering around there.
Jacksonville is also 7.5. It's minus 120 to the over, so that's getting bet, plus 100 to the under.
I'm a Lawrence believer, but I think it's more likely to get 7 wins than 8. Those are both good numbers.
Yeah.
This game's tough.
Kansas City, 11.5. Plus 100 to the over, minus 120 to the under.
Oh, I assume they play the Ravens and Bill. I mean, they're all first-place teams.
Same thing as last year,
right.
yeah.
And the division's hard. I'd probably go under. I have a hard time going the big numbers going over.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Because one injury, quarterback gets hurt, you're done.
Even if it's 2 weeks, you lose Mahomes.
Yeah.
You know.
The Raiders, 6.5.
I was a little shocked they were lumped with the real bad team.
Minus 150 to the over, so apparently all the bettors are as well.
Yeah.
Plus 125 to the under.
They got a coach and quarterback. I would lean towards the over.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like it
you
pays
get Jenny,
well,
too.
Yeah, right.
Should have an offense now, an offensive identity.
The offense might be quite good.
The Chargers, this might be the only fly in the ointment, is that the division is also
It's tough, right?
It's tough.
They're definitely 4th in the division.
Yeah. Chargers is 9.5. Minus 110 to the over, minus 110 to the under.
I don't like betting against that coach-quarterback combination, but I don't think they've gotten better. I don't like their offseason much at all. They had a ton of cap space. They didn't do that much with it.
The Rams is 9.5. Minus 150 to the over, plus 125 to the under. This goes to what we were talking about.
Easy schedule. I think I'd go over.
Yeah.
I think they're clearly the best team in that division.
So that second first-round pick that they're going to have is going to be
25 or 30, right, 32. Who knows?
The Dolphins, 8.5. Plus 125 to the over, minus 150 to the under. Everybody's going under.
Yeah, and they should. I bet that moves to even 7.5.
Yeah.
That's rough.
I don't know that he's a good head coach.
I'm not sure either.
I think he's a heck of an offensive coordinator.
Right.
He could scheme the hell out of an offense, but I don't know if the everyday.
I don't know how much team building falls on him, but I don't like the team
There's
building.
a reason all these defensive players want out of there.
Yeah. And if anything, they're going to lose Ramsey. They might lose Tyreek, you know.
The Vikings, 8.5. Minus 155 to the over, plus 130 to the under. So people are hammering the over.
I say I'd lean towards the over. I mean, I didn't have a lot of faith in Darnold at this point last year either. But it is a young quarterback that hasn't played.
Again, tough division.
Yeah. I guess they think they're going to be 3rd in the division.
The Patriots.
They must be high because they weren't on the 5.5 or 6.5.
7.5.
Ooh, I'm clearly
and it's
going
minus
under.
145 to the over and plus 120 to the under. So people are hammering over 7.5.
I'm going under that.
Now, I understand they might be the second best team in that division.
Maybe.
I have to squint, though, to see it.
Distant second, right. And Vrabel's great, but they just don't have that many good players.
Right.
I mean, it's still a year away from being a year away.
Are they going to go better than 3-3 in the division?
No. I mean, I think they're 0-2 against the Bills, and then they get one other or whatever, Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones so far.
And
especially if it's paying off.
It's plus 120 to the under. The Saints,
one of the worst
6.5.
I'm still going under.
Plus 120 to the over, minus 145 to the under.
That's out. Yeah. I wonder if they fall to 5.5 too.
The Giants is 5.5.
I'm going over that. They have a D line.
Plus 125 to the over.
Okay.
Minus 150 to the under. People are hammering the under on that.
I mean, I think everyone thinks they're terrible, and I get that, and they're on the hot seat. But Wilson can win them games. Winston can win them games. Yeah,
you're getting to win 6 games.
Right. Like I like their quarterback room more than the Browns or the Saints.
Yeah,
to win this year, maybe more than the Titans. I mean, just to win this year.
The Jets, 5.5.
Yeah, they're bad.
Minus 155 to the over. So people are hammering the over on that one.
I kind of like the over, though, just because of division.
Plus 130 to the under.
If they can win 2 in the division, it's a pretty good start.
The Eagles, 11.5. Minus 118 to the over, minus 102 to the under.
There must not be any 12.5s then. I thought they might be 12.5, which I was going to go under. I'd probably go over 11.5.
We'll skip over the Steelers for now. San Francisco, 10.5. Plus 110 to the over, minus 130 to the under.
I mentioned they have the easiest schedule in the league. I should have said this before. The Giants have the hardest and the Browns have the second hardest, which gives them another chance of getting first overall. I don't know. I'm going to go under on the Niners. I still think there's a lot of holes.
A lot of their stars are guys who get hurt a lot.
Yeah, and Kittle, Williams, McCaffrey, they're old.
They're old and they're a little brittle.
And they have to be more quarterback reliant now.
The Seahawks, 7.5. Minus 125 to the over, plus 105 to the under.
Good defense. I'd probably go over. You said they play both Souths, which is interesting, helpful.
Are they the worst team in that division? Because according to this, they are.
That's a close one. I think
Arizona was at 8.5.
Is it the Niners?
The Niners are actually the favorite.
I know. More so than the Rams?
Rams were 9.5.
Yeah.
Niners were 10.5. Arizona,
I think the Rams are clearly number one. The other 3 are about the same to me.
Yeah.
But perception's different.
Tampa Bay, over 9.5. Or over, the number's 9.5. Plus 115 to the over, minus 140 to the under. A lot of people picking the under.
I would go over. I think they'd win at least 4 in the division, maybe 6.
Split the difference. It's 5.
Yeah, right.
It's
still a pretty
there.
good start, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're probably it's totally different odds. But if you look at what's it pay to win the division, I would think besides the Bills, they might be the most easy favorite for me.
Yeah. Tennessee, 5.5. Minus 155 to the over, plus 130 to the under.
Probably go under.
It's good.
I mean, I said it's not bad, right? It's a tough one.
The Commanders.
I'm going under.
9.5.
Oh, I thought it'd be 10.5 for sure.
Minus 120 to the over, plus 100 to the under.
They scream plexiglass principle to me, but I thought that number would be higher. Maybe it got bet down. I'll still go under.
The Steelers. 8.5. Plus 100 to the over, minus 120 to the under.
If they signed Aaron Rodgers today, do you think it goes to 9.5?
Yeah, because I think,
or at least the odds.
I think
change.
They get bet like crazy.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they're going to go roll with the quarterbacks they have. Even if it's Cousins.
Yeah,
I think the odds change that day. I would go over.
I would go over as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we just went through Mike Clay's fantasy forecast thing.
Mm-hmm.
We'll come up with 12 games where they were either favored
or it was a split.
Or it was a split.
50-50, yeah. Yeah.
It tells me they're going to get more than 8.5.
And everyone's like, well, Tomlin loses games he shouldn't. Well, he wins games he shouldn't, too. Everybody sort of does.
Everybody does, yeah.
That's why they play him.
He actually wins more games that he's not supposed to win than he loses games that he's...
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I'd have to go back and remember the Clay thing, but I'm sure they were dogs against the Ravens twice and at least the Bengals once.
Well, I know... I can remember, I think it was at the end of...
I think a Browns one was 50-50.
It was the end of the 2023 season, and I saw the stat out there that as an underdog, straight underdog, he had a winning record.
That's crazy.
He was like 7 or 8 games over 500. No other head coach, and Belichick was still coaching. No other head coach was above 500.
Wow.
As an underdog.
Wow, that's crazy. Wins those games.
Yeah.
Plus primetime games. We haven't even seen the schedule yet. I mean, that's true for all teams.
Yeah, we'll see that in a couple of weeks. But
we do know one's overseas, but, you know.
Yeah, so interesting.
Yeah.
But I would go over 8.5.
I would, too.
Even if it's Mason Rudolph, I'm going over 8.5.
Yeah, I think so.
Because they'll find ways to win games.
I mean, they probably win 4 in the division. Pretty good start.
At least 3.
Know? Yeah, I like 3 as a minimum.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to play Thursday night in Cleveland.
No.
I hope that doesn't happen. But
thankfully, they don't ask us to play Thursday night.
We'll go even worse.
I just have to attend. Yeah, we'll go really bad. Yeah. Really, really bad.
No, that's a great.
Anyways, he is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. Those were the NFL over-unders at this point. We'll circle back around on them as we get closer to training camp. But that was it's interesting.
It is. Because now the draft's in the books. And
see the perception out there.
Bettors know stuff. Vegas knows stuff.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't know if they do.
I mean, but I think there's money to be made at spots too.
If you're smart about it. Anyways, we're going to get to a break. We'll be back with more on the drive right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and we were looking at those over-unders for the teams here. Matt, looking at the same website here at BetMGM, looking at the Super Bowl odds.
Okay. To win it or go?
To win it.
Okay.
The Eagles are plus 650. The Ravens are plus 700.
I'm a little shocked there, too.
I am, too.
Yeah.
The Bills are plus 750. The Chiefs are plus 750.
I think the Bills' chance better than the Chiefs or Ravens to get the number 1 seed in the AFC.
The Lions are plus 900.
I guess they should be second in the NFC.
The Bengals are then next at plus 1,800.
That doesn't smell like the others.
No.
I mean, the quarterback thing's great, but then they're not nearly as good a team other than that, than any of the teams we mentioned.
They have the same odds as the 49ers and Commanders.
I wouldn't bet on any of them at that price. I mean, the payoff's not good enough. They should all be lower.
Right after them are the Rams at plus 2,000.
I like the Rams better than all those teams.
You've got 2 teams at plus 2,500, the Packers and the Chargers.
Packers, I think, should be in that neighborhood,
I don't
not
trust
the
the
Chargers.
Chargers.
No. They had a lot of roster holes.
I don't trust this next team. You got, we got 4 teams at plus 3,500. Listen to this group. The Bears.
I mean, it pays well.
The Texans.
I think they're better than some of the teams we mentioned.
The Vikings.
Maybe.
And the one that I would...
The Bears don't belong with those other two.
The one that I would take a flyer on here is the Buccaneers at plus 3,500.
That's not bad. They've been close. They have playoff experience. Yeah, definitely.
Then you have the Broncos at plus 4,000.
Getting the teams now where you really got to squint for them to win the Super Bowl.
The Dolphins and the Steelers at plus 5,000.
Can you? I don't know anything about stocks, but can't you bet on stocks to go backwards? Like, can I not bet on the Dolphins? You know what I mean? Like, I want to do the negative.
You bet against it.
I want to bet against it, right? I know it wouldn't pay as well, but there's no way it's going to pay that.
Yeah.
They're not going.
At plus 6,600 are 3 teams, the Cowboys, Patriots, and Seahawks.
The world's pretty high on the Pats.
I don't get it.
They're not as good as those 2 teams.
It's Vrabel trust.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good start. They just don't have many good players.
The Cardinals are plus 8,000.
Cardinals have a better chance than the Patriots.
The Cardinals are plus 8,000 on this, but their over-under is 8.5.
Yeah. It's all about the betting. You know, who's putting their money places, right?
The Falcons are plus 8,000.
They've never won the Super Bowl.
Right, yeah. The Falcons are plus 8,000.
Penix have to be a monster.
The Colts and Jaguars are both plus 10,000.
Could you write a picture that the Jags turn things around and Lawrence is MVP or
No.
or Richardson's average,
No.
Yeah.
The Raiders plus 1250 or 12.5, I should say.
I mean, I don't know that any of these teams have a shot at this point, but I didn't think the Commanders had a shot a year ago.
Right.
They made a Final Four. Texans the year before that.
The Panthers are plus 15,000.
What's amazing though is one of these teams we're just mentioning right around here is going to win 10 or more.
The Jets are plus 15,000. The Saints are plus 17.5.
Wow.
The Browns, Titans, and Giants are actually the Browns and Titans are both plus 20,000, and the Giants are plus 25,000.
Wow. I don't know why they're worse than the others.
The Giants are being way undersold here.
Yeah. I'm not putting any money on to win the Super Bowl.
No, you said their schedule is the toughest in the league.
It's last, but the Browns are 31st.
They're a better football team than those.
Yeah, and they're not
like 5
terrible,
or 6 of those teams ahead of them.
I think Daboll might be a decent coach too. I mean, they're not perfect by any means, but I wouldn't put them 32nd in the power ranks.
No.
You know what I mean?
I mean, just look at the quarterback play.
Right. At least they got
Giants versus the Titans. I'll take the Giants.
Yeah, for today to win the game right now. Right.
Giants versus the Browns. I'll take the Giants.
Right.
Giants versus the Saints. I'll take the Giants. Giants versus the Jets. I'll take the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
Giants versus the Panthers. Now we're getting into.
That's a conversation.
I would probably still take the Giants, though.
Because they got 3 guys, too.
Right.
Right. You got a couple bites at it if it doesn't work out.
We don't get to Giants Raiders. Now we're.
I would take Geno over all those guys.
Now we're into that conversation.
Yep.
The Raiders are plus 12.5.
They're not even close.
Not even close.
And
They're
the
half.
over-under win totals.
Half.
The Super Bowl odds are weird to me, though. Like, so many of those teams.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants aren't a good bet. They're not going to win the Super Bowl.
Most of them, it's just flushing money either way.
Right.
I mean, it's just, it could pay off huge, but the chance of them winning the Super Bowl is pretty tight.
Yeah. Interesting.
Bucks were one of my favorite.
Yeah. Bucks aren't bad.
There's another one I kind of liked. I don't know. Bucks came to mind. I like that one. It could happen.
Could happen. And we could both be scooped up by aliens.
Yeah, right. But I think we talked about this yesterday. Like, if you gave me the Eagles and Chiefs or the field, I'll take the field.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of change.
If I gave you the top 4 favorites on here, Eagles, Ravens, Bills, Chiefs, it would probably be about let's say plus 150 to plus 200.
Like if you parlayed those all 4 together, what's it pay?
Well, if you parlayed them, yeah.
Well, you wouldn't win them all. I guess you can't
You're
parlay
not going to win them.
Right.
I
would take those 4.
I might still take one of these other, like the Lions.
The Lions are.
There's some other teams in there that I could see winning the Super Bowl.
Or I could too. I don't know if those 4 are light years better than everybody else, but I like their playoff experience. Like the Bengals don't scare me, but I bet one of those 4 teams win it.
Yeah.
I would take those 4. But if you gave me only 3 of them, I wouldn't. So it's close.
Yeah.
I mean,
in some cases, in the cases of the Ravens and Bills, yes, they've got playoff experience.
Mm-hmm.
Much of it's bad.
Yeah, right. Like Bucks are getting playoff experience. Rams have a lot of playoff experience.
Yeah.
Steelers do too. It hasn't been good.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get to a break. That's going to do it for hour number 1 of the drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with hour number 2 right after this. And welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, Adam Rank on NFL.com.
He's NFL.com, right? Yeah.
Has put together his flex rankings 1 through 150 in fantasy football.
Oh, okay.
Coming out of the draft.
Okay, just generic.
Straight up.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I haven't given this a lot of thought yet either.
He's got Saquon Barkley number 1.
Guess I can't fight that.
Bijan Robinson number 2. Going
your second
number
back?
2?
I think so.
Number 2 overall, not just second back, like number 2 overall.
All right, I'm not sure I'd take him over Chase. Jefferson. I don't know. This is new to me. I have not given it a lot of thought.
At 3, he has Jamar Chase.
Okay. He just won the Triple Crown, and nothing should really change that much for him.
At 4, Puka Nacua.
I don't think Adams helps him.
I don't think it does either.
I think he's a first-round pick, but I'd have a hard time using a fourth over. I'd take
overall
Jefferson
pick.
ahead of him. I might take Lamb ahead of him.
Plus,
Lamb has
the style that Puka Nacua, he missed time last year.
Yeah, he's really physical.
Have we forgotten this?
Right. I mean, who else is going to catch passes other than C.D. Lamb? I mean, I'm taking Lamb over Nacua off the top of my head.
5 is Justin Jefferson.
Yeah. I don't really even care who his quarterback is. I mean, he'll be fine.
Hasn't seemed to matter.
He'll be fine, right?
6 is C.D. Lamb.
Okay.
7, Malik Neighbors. Very wide receiver heavy here.
Neighbors got so many targets, and they didn't change much. I mean, they didn't end up with Hunter or anything. Neighbors or Nacua? Neighbors for me.
I think Neighbors.
Just Adams is good at the man targets.
Yeah, right.
And they drafted tight end.
And they like to run the football.
Yeah.
8, Brian Thomas Jr.
I'm a huge fan, but I think Hunter hurts him.
I think it hurts him.
Yeah, he's definitely going to play
I think
some
they want to
offense.
run the football more.
Yes. He'd be the last that we've mentioned so far. We'll see who's behind him.
9, Ashton Genty.
I would have him higher. I think he's closer to Bijan than he is 9.
10 is Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I'd have him over Nacua. I'd definitely have him over Thomas. I mean, that's as safe a pick as you can make.
Yeah. 11 is Jahmyr Gibbs.
Might also be too low.
12 is Drake London.
Okay. I would.
So that's what you're looking at right now is your potential first-round picks. I got to tell you, I mean, they're all good players.
Yeah.
But it's almost like this year's draft.
Say, who are you thrilled to take at their price? I mean, that happens every year when I see the first rankings. I'm like, ugh. I don't know I don't want to pick in the first round anywhere. None of them were great.
Yeah.
And then you start warming up to them. You realize, this is good.
You're going to have to make a pick.
Right.
So you're going to take one of these guys. And
would you consider Bowers in the first round?
No.
He's got to be tight end 1, though, right?
Oh, yeah. But he's more of a round. He didn't.
I don't think I'm taking him over Brian Thomas and those type of guys.
Well, let's move on to
Yeah.
So 13 is Christian McCaffrey.
That's a leap of faith.
That's a leap of faith.
Right. But we said the same thing about Henry last year or Barkley.
14 is Derrick Henry.
I think I'd take Henry over McCaffrey.
15, Ladd McConkey.
Wow. He's there already.
Yeah.
Offseason was good to him.
16 is Brock Bowers.
Okay. I assume McBride will be tight end too.
17 is Nico Collins.
Ooh.
I would rather have Nico Collins than some of these other guys.
I might rather have him than Brian Thomas.
Yeah.
I know they have 3 other good receivers, Kirk and the 2.
But he's the dude.
But he's the dude. That's a bargain right there.
Yeah. 18 is A.J. Brown. That's 11 receivers in the top 18.
A.J. Brown's so maddening because they just don't throw enough.
Yeah.
That's his only deficiency.
19, Kyron Williams. That's RB7.
Consistent producer. Good team.
Catches the ball.
Yeah. I never owned him anywhere, though.
20 is wide receiver 12, Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Targets are going to be high.
He had a monster second half.
Yeah. He's worthy of that. Would you take him or McConkey? Real similar.
They're very similar.
Yeah. I might trust Smith and Jigba more.
21, Garrett Wilson.
Pretty cheap, but I understand why. I mean, they have no other pass catchers either.
Yeah.
I mean,
22 is Bucky Irving.
I think I would have him higher. He had a heck of a year. Not much competition. Good team. He's going to be the guy.
23 is Breece Hall.
Yeah.
You get 2 Jets this high?
I know. That's what I was just sitting here thinking. It's like, well, their line looks like it's coming together, but
2
do we
Jets
think
in the top
offense is
23?
good? Right. They're both good players.
24 is Chase Brown.
I can't quite get there on that.
25 is T. Higgins.
Bengals will put up points.
That's wide receiver 14, though. They're going to.
That's 3 Bengals in the top 25.
I traded for T. Higgins last year.
Yeah.
And there were times when I'm like, why the hell did I do this?
Mm-hmm.
And this was after he was just coming back from injury.
Yeah.
But there are times when Burrow gets the goggles on and he doesn't look anywhere but Chase.
Yeah, I know.
And it's like you're just sitting there going.
Right. Yeah, the
Higgins
guy's really good
there.
too.
Higgins has one-on-one coverage. You're throwing to Chase with 3 guys on him.
Yeah, I don't know if I could get Higgins this high.
There are other number one receivers out there who are the only game in town on their teams that are going to get more. They're going to get more targets.
And we even mentioned like Tyreek Hill.
Right. They're going to get more targets.
I understand why, but wow.
26, Trey McBride. That's tight end 2.
He didn't catch any touchdowns, but I think that doesn't worry me at all. He'd be my tight end 2 too.
27 is DJ Moore.
Ooh, I think that was kind of a shot across the bow when they drafted Burden. And I think Adunze's role is going to grow, and they have a first-round tight end.
28 is Tyreek.
I think I'm buying at that price.
Here's a guy.
He's like McCaffrey.
This next guy would definitely take over T. Higgins. 29 is Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
He's it.
I'd take both Bucs receivers over him, too.
Yeah. Like, how is McLaurin right below the number 2 receiver on his
Debo
team?
Doesn't scare me.
No.
I mean, that's not enough to be.
McLaurin's you can pencil it in now. He's got 90-plus catches.
McLaurin should probably be a second-rounder.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a really safe pick, too.
Classically undervalued every year. 30, Devin Achane. Nope.
Ooh.
Not for me.
The running backs are not nice right here. You know, like Chase Brown, I think, was the last one.
All those rookies coming into the league.
I know. I want to avoid teams that have the rookies.
Some of those dudes are going to be. You just got to pick the right one,
right?
You know.
At least Miami didn't take one.
Well, they took one late, but
did they?
Yeah, they took.
They took
Ollie Gordon.
Yeah, I'd say they took a big one.
But Achane showed you last year he's not an every down runner.
No, that's what I was about to say.
Watching him run into the line of scrimmage at the goal line.
They used him as a goal line back. And at least Gordon's going to take that.
It was like there was a force field there. He would bounce back off.
Right. Like, what do you even ask?
Yeah.
Again, is he a good coach?
31, Jonathan Taylor.
I'd take him way higher.
Yeah.
He doesn't catch a ton, and I'm sure everyone's like...
That's RB12.
I'm taking him over Brown or Chan. I'd probably take him at least a round higher than where they're talking about him.
32.
He's really good.
Yeah. 32 is Mike Evans.
He's like McLaurin.
Yeah. Classically undervalued.
We know he gets 1,000 yards every year.
One of these years he's going to fall off the cliff, but...
Right. And Agbuka doesn't scare me.
He's not getting any shorter. He's not getting any less physical.
Baker doesn't like him any less. I mean, catches touchdowns.
33, Marvin Harrison Jr.
I could see a bounce back. I mean, not that it was terrible, but I could see him being a little slept on.
34, Josh Jacobs. That's RB13. That's RB13, Josh Jacobs.
He had to finish like 5 or 6, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a little too much old running back bias.
35, Kenneth Walker.
That's another one I would bounce back on.
36, we have our first Steeler. Who do you think it is?
Metcalf.
DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
Wide receiver 20.
Sounds about right.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure they won't be super high pass percentage.
37 is running back 15, David Montgomery.
Good offense and he scores. They can support 2.
38, James Cook.
I'd have him a lot higher. I need 1 million touchdowns, which won't ever happen.
Not going to happen again, but he catches the ball, and that's a good team.
Good team. I would have him way higher.
39 is Devontae Adams.
I don't think he fell off. I'm okay with that. I would go higher on him.
40, George Kittle is tight end 3.
Probably should be. It's not Kelsey anymore. It's not Pitts. It's definitely not Pitts. Andrews?
Pitts isn't even in the conversation.
No, he's not.
But there's some other guys there that...
That's why this stuff isn't fresh on my mind, but would you take Andrews or Kelsey? Kelsey's not going to play much.
I don't know that I want either one of those guys this year.
Over Kittle, I mean? Or are you cool with Kittle, or do you think...
I don't even know that Kittle's tight end. I haven't given it much thought.
I haven't either, right.
But, I mean, we'll get to it further down the list. Yeah. Cortland Sutton at 41.
Knicks feeds them, and they didn't add a receiver of note.
Rome Odunze at 42.
He didn't do much.
Chris Olave at 43.
I think I'd have him higher. I mean, the concussions scare the heck out of me.
I don't trust him anymore with the concussion stuff, and I don't know who the hell their quarterback is.
I think it's a lot like Garrett Wilson, though, plus injuries.
I trust Justin Fields a lot more than I trust whoever's quarterback.
Oh, I do too.
I mean, and I like Shock.
Right.
But
Wilson was going 30 picks higher.
Yeah. Rashee Rice at 44.
If he's not suspended, yeah.
Chuba Hubbard at 45.
That's too low. He's just not a flashy dude.
Yeah.
But he produces, and he's their number one.
Devontae Smith at 46.
It's not his fault. They just don't throw it.
47 is Chris Godwin.
I don't know he's totally out of the woods injury-wise, but the contract implies he is.
Yeah.
He was a monster before he got hurt.
Calvin Ridley at 48.
I assume he's their leading receiver by a wide margin.
49, Xavier Worthy.
Little too hit or miss.
Yeah. 50, DeAndre Swift.
He's like the best. He got the luckiest in terms of not having to deal with a rookie running back.
I don't love the player, though.
No. I don't think Johnson loved the player when they were in Detroit together. Right. They traded him.
Get rid of him. Just looking here at 50, who is tight end number 3 on here? Or tight end 4?
I imagine Pickens is soon, too.
Tight end 4 is T.J. Hawkinson.
I'm fine with that.
All the way down at 65, though.
Okay, so it's really a 3-horse
25
race.
picks after. Laporta is tight end 5.
I forgot about Laporta, too. I'd buy him at that price.
Jonnu Smith is tight end 6. Jonnu was pretty good last year.
He was real good last year. That was one of my dudes coming in last year.
Tight end 7 is Evan Ingram at 79. Mark Andrews at tight end 8.
I'd buy Andrews at that
still
price.
Don't have
right.
Kelsey. David Njoku is tight end 9. Travis Kelsey, tight end 10 at 83.
He might not play a lot, but he's going to be there in the red zone stuff.
Yeah. Your other Steelers mentioned here, Jaylen Warren is 60. He's RB 25.
Would you take him over Johnson?
I would not.
I think he'll catch more balls, but I think I'd rather have Johnson.
I'd rather have Johnson.
I was curious where the rookie running backs are in general. Like, you didn't mention Hampton very high.
None of them are rated very highly on it. Travion Henderson's at RB 28.
I think what's-his-face from Denver should be pretty high. I mean, he's probably the opening day starter.
George Pickens comes in at 73rd overall. As wide receiver 38.
Pretty low.
He's behind.
If Metcalf's 20 and he's 38, that's
he's behind.
A big discrepancy.
Jordan Addison is wide receiver 36.
Yeah, I would take Pickens over.
Brandon Ayuk is wide receiver 37. He might not even play this year.
I don't know. He's definitely going to miss time.
Khalil Shakir is wide receiver 39.
Oh, those are all.
George
That's
Pickens,
a wrong neighborhood.
Yeah, George Pickens should be up at least one neighborhood there.
Yeah, he's a receiver 2 or 3 for fantasy. Yeah.
See if there's who else we got on here. Caleb Johnson, 96th overall, RB 36.
Just by the sounds of things, I would take a lot of rookie running backs.
Just ahead of Javonte Williams and right behind Tajay Spears.
That's not a terrible neighborhood, but I just think those running backs in general. Like, where's Harvey at? Do you see him anywhere handy or Hampton?
Now you're asking. No, Harvey's 77. He's RB 31.
So some of these highly drafted running backs, rookie running backs, are bargains in fantasy.
Pat Freiermuth is tight end 16 at 113.
I guess that's about right. Maybe I'd have him a little higher.
And that might be it for our Steelers.
That's probably it for
the Steelers. Let's see here.
They're not going to have a quarterback
in the top 150.
Right
yeah. Those are just flex rankings. There's no quarterbacks
we didn't get
in.
Oh, I said we didn't get to any quarterbacks, but I guess that's why.
Rankings,
right.
But anyways.
Okay. That's a good first taste of that.
Look
right.
At, what's happening in fantasy football.
The top doesn't seem super strong. I mean, the first couple picks do, but I don't know if I want to pick 9th.
They're good players, but I don't know if I want to pay that price.
Right. Like, I have no problem taking Saquon 1 or Chase 3 or something like that. Sure. But I don't know that I want to take Brian Thomas 11th.
If I got to take Justin, like last year in our league, I took Justin Jefferson 7, you took Chase 8.
Yeah.
And we were both, at that point, happy to get him.
Right. I felt better than the 7th or 8th guy this year.
Yeah. So, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get to another break. That's going to do it for the Fantasy Football Focus here on The Drive. When we come back, I put out the bat signal for the listener questions. We'll get to those when we come back. He is Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. And welcome back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And, well, it is time for a little Twitter Thursday, X-Twitter Thursday.
Yeah.
I want people to yell at me on, it's not Twitter anymore.
You're so kind with these. When I do mailbags, I pick and choose the best ones. You answer like every question. So
that's what we're here for.
It's nice. You're a kind human being.
I just want to remind everybody that they can hear the Drive every Monday through Friday right here on these very airwaves. They can also download the Steelers mobile app, get the show there, or they can watch along on YouTube and give us a thumbs up on there. Helps the algorithm and everything.
And folks, to be honest, along with this, if you ever have a segment idea, we'll consider it. I mean, there's this time of year, we're always looking for stuff to talk about.
All right, so our first question here comes from Craig A. Leach, Sr., not to be confused with Junior. Will the Steelers ever retire another number, maybe 12, or are there still hard feelings from the organization?
This is more your style. There's a lot of options.
There are a lot of options, and there are a number of numbers that they don't give out. As a matter of fact,
right, yeah.
Bob Labriola answered that very question today and asked and answered, which is why you download the Steelers mobile app so you can get that. Okay, so here are the numbers that they don't give out, in addition to it, and including the retired numbers. They haven't given out 7.
No one's worn it since.
Yeah. Okay. This hasn't been that long, but they haven't given it out. They haven't given out 12.
This is all true for camp, too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
32 is obviously retired.
Yes.
They haven't given out 36.
Really? Okay.
They haven't given out 43. They haven't given out 52.
Ever. That's been a long time, too.
Yeah. They haven't given out 58.
Okay. 59.
They haven't given out 59 since 1984. Todd Seabaugh was assigned the number for the 84 season, and they haven't done that since.
So I
think it's pretty safe to say.
With the others, yeah. The illustrious Todd Seabaugh.
They haven't given out 63.
I was curious about that one. O-line can be tough.
That's Dermontti Dawson for those you youngins that don't know that one. They obviously 70 for Ernie Stautner is retired, 75 for Joe Green is retired, and they haven't given out 86.
Really? Okay. I know 88 and 82 have gone out.
Yeah.
You'll see them at camp. 80s can be tough, too. I mean,
80s, there's
O-line and
the problem is there's only so many numbers that you can have.
When you're that good, and
they don't want to get. They're not going to give out 1. They don't believe. They don't believe in giving somebody the number 1 because guys would fight over it too.
Okay. Will they give out? Will they do 0?
They haven't.
They haven't. I don't think either. Yeah. Do you think anyone else will be retired soon?
Soon?
And who would it be? I mean, all those ones you listed.
I mean, they went 20 years between Joe Green's number being retired, maybe longer than that, between Joe Green and Franco Harris's numbers being retired.
I don't think there's any rush.
No.
I would think one of the quarterbacks would be next if by chance.
And these numbers are all but retired.
You don't see them running around on Sundays.
Yeah. Except in the stands because lots of people still wear them.
Yeah.
Anyways, a ham sandwich asks, what's up with TJ Watt's contract extension? Does it need to happen this offseason? If we sign Rodgers for, say, $20 million, do we have the money to extend TJ and pay him $40 million? It's going to happen this offseason.
I think it will, yeah.
Usually
opening day.
Those things always happen during training camp. The Rodgers thing is completely separate from that. It doesn't matter.
They have plenty of money.
The money is – they have. My last check, I think they had $32 million in salary cap space. They need like 9 and change
for rookies
to sign their rookies.
Okay.
Which is why I kind of raised my eyes at you with the whole trading for
Jalen Ramsey conversation. Yeah.
Because you can't sign a quarterback and trade for Jalen Ramsey. It's just can't happen.
Unless you restructure guys.
Yeah. You'd have to get crazy and do a lot of stuff and move a lot of money around. But Watt and Rodgers have nothing to do with each other. Those things are both factored into the equation. And Watt's deal wouldn't kick in this year anyway.
That's what I'm saying is I bet Watt might even lower. If you signed him today, he might have a less of a hit this year than if you wanted to.
Yeah.
If you need the money.
Right.
For Jalen Ramsey.
Don't start that stuff again. You know how rumors start.
That's
how they get started.
Oh,
anyways.
Who's next?
Butch asks, has the team ever made multiple picks in the first round?
Ricketts, right?
Yeah, they had it was an 85 draft, I believe. They
traded Merriweather.
Yeah, they traded Merriweather after the 84 season. Yeah.
And I can't remember who else the first-round pick was that year, but I think that's the only time.
Yeah.
That I can remember.
Yeah. Prior to that.
Maybe in the 50s or whatever.
But prior to that, they always traded away their first
round. Right, they didn't have any. All
right. Josiah Jones asks, why do the Steelers wait so long to make moves? I feel it is a bad practice to wait until the last possible moment. The Bengals waited to extend Chase, and it cost them a lot more. The Steelers have waited to extend TJ, and now Garrett's contract is going to drive that price up. Well, we don't know that yet, A. But B, they don't make any moves until they have to make a move. And it's just the way that they do business. It's the way that they've always done business. And in the long run, I think they've made out more on that than they've been hurt by it.
Gather more information. A guy could decline. An injury could happen. Somebody could come on,
So look at it this way. So one of the things that Carl Dunbar talked about after the draft, or after they took the outside linebacker from Ohio State.
Yeah, they took Sawyer.
Yeah, when they took Sawyer and they'd taken the 2 defensive linemen, he said, look, we want to play these guys less. We want to play our star guys less so that they're fresher in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so that could be something that they factor into the T.J. Watt contract. Like, look, hey, T.J., we love you, but we can't pay you $40 million a year if we're going to knock your snap count back to 70%.
Yeah, I wouldn't love hearing that if I were. I'm trying to think of.
I'm sure he would.
Watts camp,
but it's all part of the it's all part of the negotiations.
Yeah, negotiations aren't always kind.
Right.
I'd be like, well, then I'll play 90%. I mean, I can do whatever. I'm going to do whatever asked me. I mean, are you going to give me a raise the day Highsmith gets hurt and I got to play 100%?
No,
but I mean,
again, this is all part of the contract
right.
negotiations, and you have more information at hand at that point. For example, I was listening to Sirius XM. They had the former Jets GM on.
Yeah.
Who was on with Jimmy Miller. Name escapes me right now. A lot of names escape me right now. Anyways, he's talking about how he was negotiating with a running back when he was with the Jets, and it was right before the draft, and they had made a contract offer to said running back. Running back comes into the office. He calls him in and says, "Look, I'm going to show you our running back board. These are the guys that we have first-round grades on." Didn't say what year it was.
Yeah.
These are the 5 or 6 guys we have first-round grades on. Either you're going to sign the contract now, or we are going to draft one of these guys.
Right.
I mean,
which is how you negotiate.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure. Like I've heard, like baseball arbitrations nasty as could be.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like mean stuff. Back to the question, though. It's just the league. I mean, TJ aside, I don't know if TJ.
Who else is signing contract extensions right now?
Right. I mean,
just because the Browns do business one way doesn't mean do you really want to do business the way the Browns do business? Is
right.
What it comes down to.
And yeah, they waited on Chase, but it wasn't like they spent that much more on him. I mean,
it's going to cost you one way or the
other. The premium dudes, whenever they come up, are going to make a little more than the guy before them and a little less than the guy after them. Yeah. And it's just. I don't think they wait exceedingly long.
I mean, were they supposed to sign T.J. Watt the day after the season ended?
Right.
When he still got another year left on his contract?
Or even like last year, Cam Hayward signed a deal.
Yeah.
Well, the timing wasn't bad on that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Most of the deals they make, it's not like, man, they waited way too long to get that done.
And quite frankly, I mean, this is nothing against T.J. Watt, but if he plays out his contract, let's say they don't get an extension agreed to this year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they can franchise tag him at the end of the year.
Right, exactly.
So they have the bargaining power. Right now.
And franchising him might even be cheaper.
It might be.
I always talk about that with Aaron Donald. When he was in the prime of his powers, there weren't the 5 defensive tackles that would be lumped in with him. It's the biggest bargain ever to franchise Donald at that price because he was that good.
Yeah. Hessian asked, hey, guys, if Cole Holcomb is fully healthy, in what situations do you see him out on the field? Is he better in pass coverage than Peyton Wilson? No. Or will he be coming in when Wilson or Queen need a breather? Yes.
Queen didn't do much of that, though.
Queen didn't. He never came off the field. Also, barring injuries, could he be a midseason trade candidate?
Maybe if someone came on.
He'd have to show that he's capable of playing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he'll get a lot of preseason snaps, and there'll be tape to prove he's healthy.
And there'll be times when he's out there.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I don't think it'll be like Roberts, though.
It's not going to be a straight split.
No, I would be shocked. I think Wilson's going to be pretty close to an every down guy.
Yeah.
And Holcomb gets 25% of the snaps here and there.
Yeah.
When everyone's healthy.
Gordon Dedman asks, when are they announcing the date of the Dublin game? Thanks if you can let Steelers worldwide know.
Do you have an answer on that? I don't know when.
I mean, the schedule comes out May 14th. Now, typically in the past, and I say it typically
pretty soon, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
A couple weeks.
That always sneaks up on me.
They have announced the international games ahead of the schedule, but they don't typically tell you when the schedule is coming out either, which they did at the draft this year, which makes me wonder if they're changing things up a little bit.
Okay.
The league doesn't tell the teams, hey, this is when we're going to announce these things.
Yeah.
You kind of have a general idea when that's coming.
So is it safe to say at the latest 2 weeks from now you'll know?
Yes.
But probably before.
Maybe before.
Maybe before.
I don't know if they're going to announce them ahead of time this year because
Okay.
I think they used the draft this year because they stopped in the middle of the first round and announced, hey, we're going to have the schedule release on May 14th. They never used to tell you that.
Okay.
I mean, how many times have we been sitting there
different.
going, well, the schedule should be out this week, and then they have to push it back a week.
Right.
Because there's conflicts.
I gotcha.
So
okay.
we'll know
in
within
the next 2 weeks.
weeks.
You're going to know, right?
Yeah. Shane asks, are we going to the Super Bowl?
I lean towards no. But crazier things have happened.
Get the Magic 8 Ball out. Assuming no major injuries in the dime, I know, not a safe assumption, what percentage of snaps does Harmon play this season?
In the dime? A D-line.
Or D-line, I'm sorry.
Okay,
I misread that, yeah. D-line, he's probably at least, Ogunjobi played 40% of the snaps.
40 was where I was going to say.
Right around, I think it was like 44%.
I very much think reducing Cam is real.
Yeah.
Which could open up a little more percentage.
It's probably right around 50%.
Yeah. 40 to 50, I would say.
Yeah, somewhere
Pretty
in that
safe,
range.
yeah. Assuming he's the player you think. And
If
all
he
that
shows
stuff.
he's better than that, then he'll get more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds fair.
Yeah.
You'd be happy with that.
Favorite pick from this past weekend, asked R.J. Poyer. Well, we've already both said 1, 2, 3. Caleb Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt loves Johnson. Michael Adesso. I can't get over how perfect a fit Caleb Johnson is in this offense. We were kind of worried they were going for more speed back, sacrificing size, but he really is the best of both worlds. His breakaway speed is shocking to me, and his tape is full of explosive plays. Thoughts?
Totally agree. I think he is the best of both worlds. Right.
I think he fits very well in this offense, and I couldn't believe he was still there at 83.
Right. No, I think they got pretty fortunate with that. They had to be sweating it out.
Andrew Kwiatkowski asks, at what point do you think it's vital for Rodgers to be in during the offseason program so it won't be detrimental to the team, OTAs, or minicamp? If he's in at some point during the OTAs, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
They don't start. They start, I think, May 21st. So basically,
you got 3 weeks.
3 weeks from now.
Obviously, this camp coming up doesn't matter for him.
This is rookie camp. He can't even attend anyway.
Right. He can't even go.
Other than that, it's just working out with the teammates and stuff.
I'd like to get him signed a day or two before OTAs.
Yeah. I mean, if it extends beyond that, I honestly...
I don't know that it's a deal breaker or I'm mad about it, but...
Not really, because now you've got your rookie quarterback. First of all, Mason Rudolph, while he has been in Pittsburgh, doesn't know this system at all.
He needs time, right?
He needs time. You got a rookie quarterback who's going to need a bunch of time.
Oh, a lot. He's going to get a lot of preseason reps
and
stuff,
so I'm okay with, again, as long as Aaron Rodgers isn't in Egypt during minicamp, I'm okay.
Yeah. Well, if he's unsigned, I don't care where he is.
Well, but if he is like he's signed a deal, you're in a mandatory minicamp, you were here.
Yeah. I don't know how much he has to participate in those things, but I'd like him to be in the building.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so that's sort of soon, 3 weeks.
No question, says C.H. Kerr. Love the show, but I have to book a book recommendation for you since you were talking about it. There's a series of books by C.J. Box, the Joe Pickett series. There's 25 to 26 books in the series. All are really good. And Matt will love that there's a TV show about them on Paramount Plus.
That I would consider. I'm not reading 25 or 27 books, I'll tell you that.
That could be my summer reading.
There you go. That sounds like up your alley.
Yeah. It's Annie says, guys, great job on your work leading up to the draft and the draft itself. Matt's an Iron Man. Stupid question. Does it strengthen the run defense or have any inverse question time? Does strengthening the run defense have any adverse impact on the pass D, and do you expect both offensive line and D picks in next year's draft?
I don't know how strengthening the run defense could hurt the pass defense.
No, because if you get them in the more 3rd and longs as opposed to 3rd and 4,
right,
you're in a much better situation.
Unless they're implying they're just going to play with a bunch of big, heavy dudes that can't rush the passer only to stop the run, which I don't think is the case.
It's not the case because you're still going to have Watt and Highsmith, and you still got premium pass rushers.
Like, I don't think Black is going to be a 100% snap count guy, and just nose tackles all over the place.
And Harmon can rush the passer.
What was the question about
year's
draft?
Do you expect offensive line and defensive line picks in next year's draft?
Always.
I think you take one of each. You got 11 picks right now.
Right. Always. And I don't know who the left guard is next year.
Right.
I mean, see them all lose up.
Yeah. One more before we get to a break here. If we don't get Rodgers to use the cap space, would it make sense to front load some contract extensions this year and make the first year a higher cap hit than usual? Then the player will have a lower cap hit in later years. I know the usual approach is to make the first round cheap. With the cap going up the way that it has,
they have so
I'm
much
not
space
concerned about
next year.
future years.
They're not really worried about cap stuff in general. I mean, almost any question cap related, you get rid of Cordell Patterson, you could restructure some people. There's so much space going forward. There's a lot of dudes that are on 1-year deals. I mean, you could add something to their deal if you fall in love with them in training camp or whatever. And Rodgers, to me, is not a detriment at all to the cap, really. I mean,
no, and I don't see I think they're going to – Rodgers is going to sign.
Yeah,
so,
and it's not going to be like a Purdy deal that's,
right.
You got to structure
the
it all
$40
crazy.
million 1-year deal that you're going to have
Right.
It's not what it's going to be.
No, I don't think it will. So, no, the cap stuff, none of it really worries me. And you can roll it over with your extra stuff.
Right, yeah. Anyways, let's get to a break. We'll continue with our X-Twitter questions when we come back. He's Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Welcome back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and we're rolling through some X-Twitter questions here. And Jonathan Mason asks, when are the Steelers going to be doing Pittsburgh, or the new Steelers going to be in Pittsburgh doing media stuff? Feels like that's happened by now in the past. Well, there were plans to do that with first-round pick Derek Harmon, and while he came to Pittsburgh,
he was there the day
Friday,
after he was drafted, right?
He did not do any media that day because obviously his mother had died the night before. I was actually supposed to sit down with him for an interview on these airwaves, and none of that happened. He didn't do the usual press stuff.
And they didn't have a second-round pick.
Yeah. They'll do all that stuff starting next weekend with rookie minicamp.
I assume that there'll be a lot of that with all
Friday.
the picks, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Michael Adesso says, I was a big fan of the Steelers draft, especially the first 2 picks, but I'm confused by the Yaya Black pick, especially after Dunbar spoke about the pick. They said he'll play mostly as an end, not nose. They then released Montravius Adams, too. Help me make sense of this. Who's nose tackle 2 now? Well, I think it's the guy, Okulele, that they signed from the Patriots.
And I wouldn't look too much into – I mean, obviously Carl Dunbar knows way better than us, but I'm sure Black will line up in the A-gaps quite a bit.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, he played basically 1 last year in Iowa. I mean, he's been almost head up on the nose tackle or on the center as it is.
Plenty, yeah. I mean, I think he'll be used all over, but I wouldn't count him. I don't think he's going to be Kiesel or Aaron Smith.
Joe Markusik says, does Joey Porter have a legitimate chance at the Hall of Fame?
No.
I don't think so.
No. I don't know that he'll even be a finalist.
99 career sacks. You need
really?
one more. One more, and I think it looks much better to have 100 next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think so. There's so many good edge rushers.
It's really tough.
Too. Yeah,
it's really tough. Jim Hester says, how do you think the Steelers see DeMarvin Leal as a contributor, and where do you see him aligning this year? It's a pivotal season for Leal. Yeah, I hope he stays healthy to build on the growth he wanted to showcase from last year. He could be a nice defensive end depth piece. He could be, but
he could be jack of many trades, master of none. Not good enough at any of them to stick in this league.
Yeah,
I think he's one of the hardest guys to talk about on the whole team.
He really is. I need to see him first to see, where's his weight at this year.
What are they asking him to play at this year?
I think that'll tell us a lot. Last year in camp, he was around 285, which is big enough to play end. And he was playing defensive on the defensive line last year for them.
Right.
In camp.
Yeah. He can stand up too, I know.
Yeah. That's all kind of secondary stuff, but he needs to make his bones as a defensive end in this team.
100%. And they flirted with Preston Smith, too, of having these lighter, reduced down guys on throwing downs. But are you better than Cam Benton and Harmon in those situations?
Right, that's the thing.
You don't want to be the third string guy at that. Then what use do I have for you?
It's unfortunate he got hurt in camp last year.
No, but it's kind of make it or break it time.
No doubt. Question is, who do you think the number 1 slot cornerback will be this season?
Situational.
I think it could be situational. I think at the end of it all, I think Eccles gets the most snaps in there.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. I don't think Beanie's a liability, but I think he is what he is. 7th-round pick could factor in there.
If he makes a team,
yeah. I think Thornhill will play some slot.
Yeah. Another question. Long-time listener, love the show. My question is, the schedule drops in 2 weeks. Why do you think the Steelers wait until the end of July to drop their theme schedule? Why not drop it at the same time as the schedule so as fans can get a better handle on maybe what game to attend, example, like alumni weekend, etc.?
Oh, I say, what's the theme schedule?
Well, first of all, they don't know the schedule when the schedule comes out. It's a surprise to the Steelers as well.
It's probably not even finalized now. They're working on it.
They get the schedule like an hour or two before it goes on to TV.
Yeah.
It's not like they know the schedule. Oh, hey, we can start planning.
I mean, to pull back the curtain, we always do a schedule release show like the minute it comes out. And we usually get it like 2 minutes before we hit the record.
Right.
you know, like I'm looking at it the first time, like, I guess we'll talk about this. Here we go.
Yeah.
You know,
they get it. I mean, within hours of it coming out is when they get it. And you need to.
You got to tell all the alumni when to come in.
You need to plan these things. Right. All right, what do we got going on this weekend? How about that weekend? You know, so there is some planning that does need to be done with that.
I mean, can you imagine building the NFL schedule? I mean, it is a massive undertaking. Like some of them, you know, baseball stadiums are being used, and what if there's a playoff game for baseball, or what if Springsteen's in town on a Sunday? Well, I got to be away that week.
Yeah.
Or, you know.
Jason asks, any chance that all the Rodgers talk from the front office was just a smokescreen for the draft? I don't know why they would be smoke screening Aaron Rodgers signing.
Sanders and Shuck being a smoke screen.
Yeah.
You know, that they were not as interested as people think.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see that as a smoke screen at all.
No, I think the draft told you that they're going to sign Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Iron City Beers asks, why haven't the Steelers extended Deshaun Elliott? He's been phenomenal for us. Well,
that might be a good one in camp.
It might be something that they think about, but he's still only been here for a year, and he's got another year left on his deal. So
right. I mean, he's probably not good enough to be a franchise candidate. You know, maybe you do that in training camp.
Yeah.
It's something we could talk about then, but the timing doesn't work out now.
I mean, they have bigger fish to fry.
That's the thing. They're just down the ladder. Yeah.
Christopher Althari asks, any chance the Rodgers holdup was tied to Kirk Cousins' issue last year, signed with a team that drafted a quarterback high, like he wanted to wait until it was over?
I thought about that. That might have crossed his mind.
I mean, I'm going to take him at his word that he has personal stuff going on that he needs to take care of.
I wouldn't blame him one bit to be. If they had taken Shador at 21, I wouldn't have been as excited to join the Steelers.
Yeah. He said, I know we were targeting a defensive tackle. I listened to the show, but so many national types pushed that possibility. Well, they were pushing that possibility because they just saw, hey, the Steelers don't have a quarterback signed.
Yeah, and he was in here on a visit, and most people thought he was a first-round talent, which he wasn't. You know.
Yeah, the media people thought he was a first-round talent.
I found it funny. I said this a bunch during the draft that so many of the big media that cover the league had quarterback in the first round, but you guys that are there all the time had D-line in the first round. You know.
Yeah. Matt DeCicco says, has the NFL changed their draft philosophy over the last couple of years? It seems like quarterback is not a legit first-rounder. If a quarterback is not a legitimate first-rounder, they're not going to waste a premium 2 to 4 round pick on them. Love the show. Well, they still do.
It's not as common as you think.
Jackson Dart went in the first round this year.
Right.
I did not think Jackson Dart was a first-round talent.
Right. Really, from picks like 20 to 40, there aren't many. But this year there was Dart and Shuck.
Yeah.
Levis wasn't that long ago. But the general consensus is if I think he's the guy, I'm going to get him and I'm going to be aggressive.
Yeah.
If I don't think he's the guy, I'm going to wait.
CC Ryder says, hypothetical, if Rodgers doesn't sign, do you think Will Howard eventually surpasses Rudolph this year?
Ooh, that'd be
Love
rough.
the show. I don't think that happens.
That'd be wonderful. I mean,
you'd love for it to happen.
Love to be like,
but
wow. But I don't
see
be
that
really
happening.
tough.
Yeah. And T-Mac says, Dale, Matt, and the boys. You guys getting love also. There you go. Thanks for taking my question. Why is Patterson still on the roster, and why not put Leal purely at defensive tackle? Well, I don't know that they haven't.
I don't know what they've done with Leal. Again, I'd like to see what he weighs in at, what he looks like, where he's running around.
I mean, remember, he didn't play at all last year. In fact, he got hurt in training camp. When he got hurt last year, they listed him as a defensive tackle.
Did they? Okay,
I believe so, because that's
sense.
where he had been lining up at.
And that's what they drafted him at.
Yeah.
The other stuff was, like you said, is kind of the cherry on top. I'm a little shocked Patterson's still on the roster. I mean, I'm not sure that he's going to get cut at this point.
Yeah,
I've thought all along that was a no-brainer. To be honest,
I mean,
it still could happen. You don't need the money.
It could happen at the end of training camp. They don't need the money. They could take a look at him and say, okay, what's it look like now? And we don't know what the conversation was at the end of the year. Did they say, hey, Nate, you need to get lighter, you need to do this, you need to do that? I don't know.
Truthfully, I don't expect him to be on the opening day roster. But
I don't know that I do either.
I'm a little shocked
but
he's still on the roster, so maybe there's more to that.
Yeah, we'll see. In terms of all that stuff. Let's see if we have anything else on here. I don't think that we do. I think that's all we got through all the Twitter questions.
How about
today.
that? Wow.
How about that? That just never happens because we get so many questions. We had 29 questions today.
There's not just one more on there we need to hit?
No, I think that's it.
Got them all?
We got them all. So there we go. That's going to do it for our show today. It's a good one, Matt.
Yeah, it was a great one.
Yeah. For my partner, Matt Williamson. For Justin Miller here on site, running the Justin Miller hotline, and apparently just cracking us up left and right here. And for Tyler Vittmeyer, making sure our video gets out there onto YouTube. Give us a thumbs up there. You can leave your comments there. I also answer questions on there. I am Dale Lolley. We thank you for listening to this edition of The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network.
Steelers football happens here. The Pittsburgh Steelers Audio Network.